Galair, and welcome to the Loaf of Bread GAA podcast, slicing into the GAA of the past, present and future. Join me, Jason Keelan, as we cut into the largest loaf of bread known to mankind.
Hello, Diagwich, bonjour, ni hao, konnichiwa, guten tag and privyet to you all wherever you're listening in. What started as a message to 10 clubs has now expanded to more than 50 clubs globally from all continents. The journey through Loaf 2 GAA Global continues this week as we move on to our next destination in the GAA world. So come with me on the GAA journey of a lifetime and meet clubs from Canada to Argentina, South Africa to Gibraltar, Bermuda to the North Pole, New Zealand to Kuwait, Knoxville to Qatar, and literally everywhere in between. So grab the passports, grab the bags, it's time to go. As-salamu, alaykum, and welcome to Dubai in the beautiful Middle East and the United Arab Emirates. This week is Slice 12 of Loaf 2 GAA Global on the Loaf of Bread GAA podcast. This week we say goodbye to the gang in Cormac McAnallen GAA in New South Wales and fly to the Middle East. I chat to Dublin man Luke of Oliver Plunketts GAA, Wicklow man Niall, and Wexford lady Naomi about life in the desert sun. We chat all about the GAA in the Middle East, the rising standards of life in the region, rivalries at Dubai and Bahrain, Qatar, Oman and others, the expansion of the club from a social team to featuring the likes of county players such as Shane Dempsey and Peter Acheson, and of course the vital questions, like choosing between the Dubai Monorail or the Dart to Bray, shopping in the Dubai Mall or Blanch, and which is better, a camel ride in the desert or a piggy back home. But first, as usual, let's take a trip through Dubai and the Jumeirah area and take a look at what the desert city has to offer. Bon Sultas. The sounds of Arabian music greet us as we enter through Dubai International Airport, one of the world's great hubs which I've been fortunate to fly in and out of many times. Efficiency is generally the name of the game flying through there on a transfer. The swap over to Myanmar is one that sticks in my mind greatly, insanely quick despite the tight time. It's the most insane airport in general, it basically is like a small city at the best of times. It has been voted the number one airport in the world on several occasions. Dubai is part of the monarchy called the United Arab Emirates, or Emirates for short, and located around the Arabian Peninsula. While Dubai today may be one of the most highly developed and wealthy cities, this is not the case for the UAE not so long ago. One of the other of the 7 Emirati states, Sharjah, is home to perhaps the ancient signs of life in the region, which is historically part of the zone called Mesopotamia. Other regions at the time include modern-day Iran, Levant, which is around Syria, and Jordan, and Bactria, which is where the camel with 2 humps gets its name of the Bactrian. Of course, history wouldn't be history without some sort of British involvement, and this is true for the lands of the UAE also. Given their centrality within the globe, the lands were key routes for trading by sea and overland. Eventually, despite the constant issues with the likes of Britain and Portugal, the region became known as the Trucial Sheikdoms in the early 19th century. It wasn't until the union of the first 6 emirates in 1971 that the country got its beginnings. The 7th emirate, Ras Al Khaimah, joined the following year. The Emirates remains predominantly Islamic, going back to the early days of the Prophet Muhammad. However, other religious aspects, including a Christian monastery, have been found in the area. The monastery is now today known as Sir Bani Yas Island. I was there as part of my honeymoon in 2017. Funnily, they didn't mention it. The Emirates was in historical times considered a tribal region, with the likes of the Bani Yas tribe and the Dawir tribe of modern-day Al Ain. Something of little surprise to me anyway, is that the coastal waters between it and Iran are known as pirate waters. This is certainly still true, as I discovered during that honeymoon trip on the waters there. Let's just say what I thought was some cool nighttime training for the ship staff was a little more than what I knew about at the time, and the light in the distance wasn't some buoy out at sea. Modern-day UAE has its progressive roots in the areas of pearls, and in more recent times, oil. It was the finding of oil in the early 20th century in the surrounding areas that created the possibility that the UAE region may have more. Sure enough, in swooped the British companies to sign agreements with the rulers of the region to look for the liquid gold. It failed, and it cost a fortune too. But there was a refusal to quit, and every method and idea was tried, even bringing in famed French explorer Jacques Cousteau to try. And then in 1958, bang! Oil. The Emirati ruler soon realised the significance. Sheikh Rashid bin Saeed Al Maktoum of Dubai, began the rejuvenation of the city soon after, with the newfound wealth coming in. In 1971, the official independence of the UAE came into existence, after Britain let go, realising they could no longer hold the grip on the region's growth, and ever since, the explosive growth of the city of Dubai is there for all to see. Whether it's the reaching of the first ever Arab space probe to Mars in 2020 or the sheer vastness of wealth on show, Dubai has made full use of its natural richness. In terms of a city, Dubai was little more than a desert oasis town about 40 years ago. Today, it is the UAE capital city with the second most 5-star hotels in the world and even 7-star ones also. The uniqueness of the landscape is shown in the 829 metre high Burj Khalifa, the world's tallest building. However, the historical aspects still remain, such as the Al Fahidi fort of the late 18th century. But the true growth of Dubai isn't really felt until you get there. What was once a small makeshift runway on a salty piece of land is now the Dubai International Airport, the world's busiest international hub. A place rarely able to communicate with long distance areas now has Dubai Media City and Dubai Internet City, with the biggest IT companies in the world in it. And if that wasn't enough, how about a man-made set of islands in the shape of the world with luxury homes in the basking Persian heat? Today, there's very little you cannot do in terms of tourism in Dubai, and in many cases the city has taken the best aspects of the world and built them on an often grandiose or luxurious scale. The Dubai Mall, Dubai Marina, Dubai X-Line, Ski Dubai and Dubai Opera House are just some examples of modernisation. But in fairness, the old and new live in tandem, as shown by the gigantic Dubai frame and places like the Jumeirah Mosque, the Grand Mosque and the Al Fahidi Fort. But just in case you thought it wasn't as amazing as it sounds, here are just a few more little bits to know. The incredible sail-shaped Burj Al Arab 7-star hotel has near 1800 metres squared of gold leaf inside it. The Lamborghini and Aston Martin 1 are the police cars of choice in the city. Income tax is zero. But don't forget, life isn't cheap in a country where just over 86% or so are foreigners. On the sporting side, many golf fans will be familiar with the now iconic Race to Dubai golf rankings. The final event on the Jumeirah Golf Estate has a prize pool of an incredible $8 million. But above all others is soccer. And while supporting for the local teams may not be as fashionable as supporting the big guns of European football, UAE champions of modern times Al Ain have had success in the Asian Champions League. Of course, many will also be familiar with the Abu Dhabi group, who own Premier League champions Man City. To anyone in Dubai who knows it, it would be no surprise to know cricket being highly popular, especially given the massive immigrant list of people from cricketing nations such as India, Sri Lanka, Pakistan and Bangladesh. On a slightly more historical note, camel racing is of course a key favourite, as is falconry. While Rugby Sevens is making a major breakthrough in the region to go with the likes of the San Fran Sevens and the Japanese Seven tournaments, it's still very much a growing sport in the country. On the GAA front, you might not expect many Emirati to take on the hurl and schlitter, but in 2015 the Jumeirah Gaels GAA team was formed and has, within 6 years, grown to become bigger than many Irish clubs. The Gaels now boast 5 men's teams in football and 1 in hurling, a camogie team, and no fewer than 6 ladies football teams. Initially a social league team, the club has now shown its true ability. Of course, the club continues to build, and success has been with them in many codes since their inception, including wins in the notable tournaments in Bahrain and Dubai, their own home turf, or sand. Of course, the rivalries too exist with the neighbours like Abu Dhabi and Afina, Dubai Celts, and out as far as Clonda Oman and Qatar. But at the end of it all, the club is doing all the good work that even the best GAA clubs in Ireland do. The growth of the Middle East GAA has not gone unnoticed, and many major GAA stars, pundits, even RTE have been out to see what all the fuss is about. The World Games in 2016 were held in the region, and the fact that ruling Sheikh Al Maktoum threw the ball into the football final between 2 Middle East teams shows the immense progress that the game has made in the Middle East. Of course, with huge foreign numbers and most of the Irish being teachers or in construction, there is a huge community there to build from. The Middle East Board can now boast 16 registered clubs across the region, with each of those containing their own starting teams making up more than 120 available panels of players. And in Dubai, with the likes of McGettigans in the area, you can be guaranteed a good time off the field too. And so to that end, let's meet the gang in Jumeirah and talk to Luke, Niall and Naomi and find out all about life in the GAA in the Middle East.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Hi, Jason. How are you?
I'm not too bad. How are things?
Good, good.
I was all in Dubai Heights Academy by the looks of it.
Yeah, so I'm the marketing and comms manager for, well, yeah, the school and other projects that the owning company runs. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just logged in on the school account at the
Oh,
moment.
nice.
So,
Is it a
yeah,
primary or
it's
secondary
great.
or?
Well, yeah, it's a private school, but we own like a school, a university, a couple of hotels, all of that
Nice.
kind of stuff. So,
And
yeah,
is that based near
just based.
the Jumeirah kind of hotel or?
Um, yeah and no. I mean, Dubai is quite small, but
Yeah.
yeah. So just on this project at the moment. So yeah, it's interesting because I guess a lot of our players are teachers, right? So it's obviously a lot of Irish people working in the education industry over here. It's so weird seeing you after listening to all the podcasts.
That's gas,
So
yeah.
you're a teacher yourself, right?
Yeah, primary school. Living down here in Mullingar, living at home, but I was up in Dublin for the last 12, 13 years or so. I'm still teaching in Dublin, but I just moved home about a year ago or so. But it's grand. I love teaching up there. It's great. Yeah, I've been out to Dubai a few times. I've been there, I think, 3 times, from what I can remember. So, whereabouts are you
Yeah.
from originally?
I'm from Wexford, but I don't sound like I'm from Wexford. I guess none of
No.
us do. And we,
Hi guys, how are you? Can you hear me okay?
Oh, we can indeed. You look like
where
you're in the
are you?
Google head offices in Dublin by the looks of it.
Oh no, I'm in I'm in public and JLT.
Oh, okay. So
Is that
Niall's
So
got himself a new job recently, so he's a man about town.
where are you working? Where is it?
just working. I was working in sports media for 6 years. Loved it. That's all I wanted to do, and I'm in a different job now with kind of more education. So it's with a guy I know from Bray. So I got very lucky to get a job because it would have been that or moving home. But yeah, I was in the sports for a long time. Sports journalism. That's all I wanted to do. So it's been brilliant out here because there's so many events on. And the access to these different kind of sports stars and stuff was really easy as well, because when you're in the Middle East, you're not really seen as a threat. Whereas if you're back in the UK
Yeah.
or you're back in Ireland or you're back in America, these guys won't talk to you.
Yeah, that's kind of what I found. Like the way I think I've kind of marketed in inverted commas the podcast has kind of made people it's a lot easier to come on because, like as I kind of said, behind it all they want a headline, they want something. Whereas I just always thought, there has to be a way to get people on just to chat about, the crack with the GAA and their memories, and for you guys, like, playing abroad, that kind of stuff. So I think it's been easier when I marketed it that kind of way to get people on. Like, where Niall, you originally from Bray, is that what you said?
Yeah, Bray and Wicklow, yeah. So it's been lovely coming back there, especially during the summer. You have that lovely stretch in the evening and stuff as well. At least now, when I get back during the summer again, it'll be even nicer.
Yeah, and Wicklow's
That's
taken
if we get back now. We're all hoping to get back for the
We
summer.
will.
How did you end up in the GAA club? The GAA club has it been around a while, or?
I got in there actually. It was my brother-in-law. Some of his friends set the club up. So myself and one guy from Bray and one guy from Donegal. We were just training on the back pitch one day, and it's grown since. There's big Luke there. Luke was one of the originals as well. How are you, Luke?
Oh, geez.
How's it going? All right, I was in and I was out there. I think you can hear me all.
You're all right, yeah. I heard you're a cameraman, Luke. You're an Oliver Plunketts man.
Oliver Plunketts, yeah. Well, I'd say Navan Road now. Plunketts is Navan Road, and Cabridge just across the parish.
Yeah, I know it. I used to live in Ashtown for a long time, so I'm fairly familiar with it.
Yeah.
One of my neighbours here, one of my mates here, plays with Oliver Plunketts now as well. He's transferred up from Mullingar Shamrocks here, so we're fairly familiar with it. Yeah, it's a nice spot. Yeah, Niall was saying he's only there a year, so he's not there that long. Right. So yeah, he's nifty enough footballer now, in fairness. So he wouldn't be the worst. Yeah, Niall was saying, Luke, you were one of the founders along with Niall himself.
Yeah. We were involved there back in 2015. Myself and Niall were reminiscing about earlier today. Hard to believe how far the club has gone in the space of not even 6 years. It'd be 6 years, kind of to the end of this year, so 5.5 years. Yeah.
What's the rivalry like with like the Dubai and all those?
I suppose there is a bit of a healthy rivalry there between ourselves and the Celts. I suppose at the end of it all, we're all Irish people away from home, so I've loads of friends playing with the Celts, and Sharjah is another club kind of just down the road.
Oh yeah.
But I think we kind of forget about the friendships once we go onto the pitch. But once the game's over, we're having a few points, we're all the best of friends again.
I came from Bahrain, Jason. I lived in Bahrain for 4 or 5 years before I moved to Dubai. So the thing with the Bahrain games is that when all the clubs go there, they have to stay there. They don't leave. So there's about 800 Irish people celebrating over the course of 2 days and playing serious football as well.
Yeah.
When I first arrived in Bahrain, it was quite a small tournament, so it just grew from strength to strength. But yeah, it's one of the best. I'm sure Niall has some stories he could tell us from it, and Luke as well. But unfortunately, we didn't get to go last year. But hopefully we'll be going this time.
What's your record in it like?
Yeah, well, I won a junior final there. I didn't win that when I was playing with Bahrain. And the men have done pretty well. We've had some serious wins there, I think, pre-COVID. So, yeah.
And Bahrain is definitely the favourite one, is it?
I think so, yeah. Just myself personally, just we won a junior championship there after 2 sets of extra time, and one of our club mates missed a kind of gimme free in the very last minute, and we thought it was gone, and then there was a sending off and a bit of a scrap, and then we ended up winning the last minute. And then since I've been coaching the ladies have had a good bit of time, a good few successes in Bahrain as well. And then, like Naomi said, there's like 800 odd Irish people there for the weekend, and the Saturday after the football, it's like a rag week, freshers week kind of buzz around the place, and everybody's just going mad. It's change your flights is the big chant that there's be going around for the day then as well. Loads of stories of people missing their flights back to wherever they're coming from, and be absolute scenes at the airport leaving Bahrain then after.
That sounds class, yes. Do you get many of the locals involved at all?
Not really. I'm just thinking back here to the very beginning, Jason, just while Naomi and Luke were talking, I was thinking back to the very beginning, just where it all started really for the club. And like, it's coming up now over 6 years, and really started from a social tournament there. I think it was around March 2015. There was 5 guys. They would have all lived in Qatar before, all Irish guys, and they would have worked for Kent's. Kent's was the company. They had an office in Dubai, so they set up a little social team, and from that was kind of the birth of the club. And Luke would have been around from the very beginning as well. There would have been 3 of us training at the back pitch of just next to where I am here at the minute, JLT. And little did we know how big the club would go from the back of that. I think just over about a month later, we played a tournament. It was in October, Luke, wasn't it, in Abu Dhabi? And with these big old soccer jerseys, big heavy things, they were like fucking duvets, they were. And the following month, we had that first tournament in Bahrain. That's the one Luke was referring to there previously, where we won our first tournament. And then I think that March, Luke, we won the junior championship, didn't we, up in Sport City? And then things kind of went from strength to strength. Then I think there was 100 people in the club by 6 or 7 months after it started.
Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, it was that first training session I referred to. The place we were training is just like a little green area at the back of a couple of apartment buildings with a few kind of street lights. And I remember going down for the first night, and there's probably only about 10 lads there, if even 10. I don't know if Niall was. I think you were there that night, Niall. That's probably the first night I met you. Yeah. I just remember after the session, everybody chatting to each other. The chat Irish people have, where you're from, all that kind of stuff, and just chatting to Iser. He's like, "Oh, I'm half Galway, half Libyan." I think is what Iser was saying. I just remember chatting to him that day. One of the lads, Iser, another kind of original member of the Gaels, he's still around Dubai now. And it was just men's football to start off with, and then probably about 6 months later, a couple of guys I used to work with, they're gone home now. Connor and Jads, they set up the ladies football, and then again, a few months after the first training session, we'd 40 or 50 women down training, and then a year or two later, it was up to 100 odd. So it couldn't have predicted the growth of the club, but it's great how it's gone.
Yeah, it's impressive.
I think from the ladies' perspective, like, we do have a lot of British girls, very good players, come down and join us. and they would have formerly been soccer players and stuff like that. So it's great to see them go take up football and then grow from strength to strength. One of our best players, Hannah, is up playing senior. And she would have started off kind of social junior level and worked her way up. So it was just nice to see that, and kind of different girls from different places from both countries coming down and giving it a shot, even if they just want to play at the social level, But like, we're a very inclusive club. We're open to everyone. I know Omar has been playing there with the boys for a bit over last year, letting in all the different nationalities and different cultures as well.
Yeah. We had a chap come down actually, Jason. Naomi, you were talking about Abdullah there, the Jordanian guy.
Omar, Abdullah, yeah, him, Abdullah.
Yeah, Jordanian guy, Jason, came down training one night. With the way we trained, the ladies would be on before the men's.
Yeah.
On the same pitch as the hour before. This guy was just kind of floating around, and he asked me what the sport was, and I was trying to explain to him Gaelic football and all that. And he's like, "Can I play?" I was like, just saying about the lads are on an hour later. So I never thought I'd see him again, but he actually came back down to training the following day. And Abdullah Awalia, that's what his nickname was.
Sorry, Omar. It's not his name, it's Omar. We'll go with Abdullah.
That's the class name for him, all right.
Just from like a new sporting perspective, there's been plenty of sports I would have played down through the years, and you could have tried them once or twice, and if you didn't like them or you didn't think you're good at them, you'd just turn around and leave it behind. But for him, it was a very new sport to him. He could have just kept playing soccer, could have kept playing any other sport, but he kept coming back week on week, getting to know new fellas, and you could tell he really enjoyed it as well.
That's incredible, yes. It's the first. I think it's the first. I've had a lot of nationalities mentioned. It's the first Jordanian that I've heard of playing the game. I've had a lot of different nationalities, but that's definitely the first, that I can think of anyway. Yeah. What's the Middle East games like? A lot of people have mentioned those. Has been pretty impressive. How do you guys find the Middle East games? Is it as competitive as it sounds from the others that I've chatted to?
I think for me, I've lived in the Middle East now for almost 10 years, and just starting off in a small club in Bahrain and transitioning over here, but the level of football is incredible. It's gone from strength to strength, and it certainly got more competitive. When I joined, it was more so for a bit of crack in that, but the level of football is unbelievable. I suppose when I started, I was average enough footballer, and then you see these girls coming in that are former county players, and they're younger than you and faster than you. And I suppose it's kind of hard to accept then that you're not as good, and you might be on junior, whereas you might have been on senior there the week before. But sure, that's the way it goes, and it's great to see that the club is growing from strength to strength in that. And we've started down at social and worked our way up. So level of football is amazing.
Have you had many? Well, I ask actually, since you're such like a very popular area for people to go to, have you had many county players out?
Plenty. There's plenty across the teams. Like the standard in the senior men's, women's is brilliant, especially the women's.
Yeah.
The last few years, watching the finals and stuff across the different tournaments. But just off the top of my head, Luke and Naomi might be able to add, just in terms of the different teams from our perspective. Like we have Peter Acheson, former Tipperary player.
His name was mentioned by another club actually. Someone came up against Peter Acheson and had a tough time against him. Someone told me that story yesterday already. That's the second time his name has come up. Yeah.
He's like a young bully, and then we Shane Dempsey with Mullingar, man. He was long.
Yeah.
We had him. We got Mahoney would have been on court panel for a long time. There's plenty of them. You just across every team there probably is as well. There's a lot used to play county, and that kind of adds to it. That adds to the strength of the team. And even we found when we got Peter and a few others back in 2016, that really added to the strength of the club as well, and brings different lads on. Lads always get an extra level out of themselves when they're playing against a good standard player.
Yeah, Shane's Instagram, I think the other day he said he's coming home soon enough, I think.
Yeah, I think he's back there at the minute.
Is he back? Yeah.
So he's back to play for Lomans again, yeah.
Yeah, hopefully might do something for the county maybe instead. We could do with some help there for sure. So
it's a bit like the Hunger Games in the summer on social media. Someone says they're moving to Dubai, and you see it on the Dubai Exchange show. Every club is getting their promo video up, and every club's responding and DMing and get them over. So when I joined, I start, obviously on the committee and stuff. I was running the social media accounts, and doing some promotional stuff, you know, trying to get the social pages and website and that up. But it's a bit of crack as well. It's a bit of healthy rivalry, who has the best promo video or the nicest jersey or the best teams, and everyone's out poaching them, trying to get them in on the Dubai Irish Exchange is like a Facebook group over here. So even for me, when I was moving, it's the group that I looked at to see what clubs were here and whatnot. So it's a bit of crack trying to get those county players.
Now, what's mentioned as well? What's the sponsorship situation like for you guys? It's obviously not too bad. I'd say some of the clubs I've chatted to now, they're one step short of having to go out, you know, and with a bucket outside the church kind of job to get some money. So you guys, I'm guessing, have slightly easier times than that.
Yeah, I suppose with the sponsorship, we've been lucky since the club set up. At the moment, now we're sponsored with Kerry Gold, are the kind of the front kind of jersey sponsor. Got Aidan Walsh got us that. I think one of the club members works with like Kerry Gold abroad or Wicklow or something like that. And then whereas McGettigan's are the chain of Irish pubs are we know over here. There is a couple in Ireland as well. But yeah, I think that every penny they give us in sponsorship, we probably give it back from all the socialising we do there. And then Pizza Express, which is a random one, sponsored us the last couple of years, and then they've thrown a couple of parties for us.
I'll take the Pizza Express one. Yeah,
we recently we've just signed with a new sponsor actually. News just in lately, so we've been very lucky in that sense that there's a new Irish bar opening up in Dubai, out in JVC, called McCafferty's. So they approached us. So they're opening up in the summer, and they have a couple of venues across Dubai, and we're delighted to be able to be sponsored by them and use their venue going forward for our Saturday sessions, as we like to call them, after our tournaments and whatnot. But sponsorships, it's a hard gig for anyone, especially now during, you know, the pandemic. But we've just been lucky and hung in there, and we're grateful for Kerry and you know, all our sponsors that have supported us over the last couple of years. We'll be having to get new kit going now and everything again for the new season, which would be nice. Because I don't know if you've seen our jersey, but it's amazing. Best jersey ever.
Yeah, so I thought you might say it was nice. Right, it is pretty nice in fairness. Yeah, I've been saying to other clubs that I'd try and promote their like O'Neill's site and stuff on it as well. Get them some sales. So speaking of the McGettigans, Niall, is that considered like your local as such for celebrations, or would you go anywhere and everywhere?
It depends. Pizza Express, we've done a few good deals for us. McGettigan's always, like I think over here, Jason, depending on where you live, you'll have 5 or 6 bars near you. So it's nearly wherever there's a group of lads going. Like you'll find here at the weekend anyway, there'll be a few different groups of lads in different places. So if you're up for a pint, you'll always have something. That's the beauty of the football and stuff too. You'll fall into a group of friends and you'll always be out with them. You just can't, like, you'll meet lots of great people out here in your own job. They could be from all walks of life, all different countries, but nothing just beats being around your own people and having the crack. The chat's just so easy, and you know yourself, you gain the energy off those around you. So when you're with good people, that always adds to it.
Is McGettigan still
we have a couple of musicians.
All right, who?
So we have a couple of resident musicians, Shawnee Gavin. So he always gets up and tries to sing. But he's always there for the Saturday sesh. And I call this guy Luke the Flute because he just always has a flute. So they're always...
Not me now, it's another Luke.
No, not Luke Dooley. Another Luke. But yeah, the guys are great to get the crack going, especially on the Saturday session. Around Christmas time, we have a bit of a fun game and then a bit of a sesh after. So it's nice just to have a few musicians and stuff like that across the team to get the crack going.
I've heard good things about McGettigans, all right, because Brezzy and the Blizzards here went out a few years ago and came back with some raving reviews about it. So I've heard lots about it. And the few times I've been to Dubai, actually, I've never actually gone there. I've seen it. We went past it. But I think it was, I don't know if it ever closes, but it looked like it was closed. So we decided not to bother trying. Yeah, so I've heard it looks pretty cool in fairness. So what's is there much of a rivalry with you guys in like Abu Dhabi, like down the road?
I suppose the most recent year we've had now, we haven't had a season go ahead. So it's kind of, maybe we've forgotten about what the rivalries have been like. But I know our senior team was pushing win the senior championship. Would it have been
2018-19, or maybe the year before. I can't remember now.
18-19.
18-19. I remember it came down to the last game, that Alain actually talking about the tournament. It came down to the last game there, and it's 9-aside here, and you've 3 subs coming on. I don't know if that was said before I joined the call, but our senior lads they got 3 injuries, so they were playing with no subs, and they just about lost Abu Dhabi in the final to lose the championship that year. So I suppose kind of historically, Abu Dhabi would be the kind of powerhouse. They would be probably the most successful, and the Dubai Celts aren't as successful as they used to be since we came around. So
I suppose from a female perspective, we've Kerry now, so I've made the switch from player to helping out with the coaching with the lads, especially around the social girls. But it's great now Kerry have started up a girls team, because it's great for the social and junior girls to have, people of their level as well, just coming down and having a few social games, because we'd always play with Sharjah and the Celts. And it's nice now that Kerry have a girls team as well at that level, so we can have a few practice games and stuff like that. So it's great to see, the clubs expanding and growing as well, although, there is a certain bit of rivalries there.
Have you much interaction with the royal family? I know, because I know the All-Stars and stuff, like Sinead Burke from Galway used to work with her, and she had some great pictures up when they were out there. Like, have the royal family and I think you've hardly got Sheikh Al Maktoum on the pitch yet, have you?
I just remember when we had the World Games here in Abu Dhabi a couple of years back now. Gosh, is it 5 years ago now? But yeah, obviously it was a big deal out there in Abu Dhabi, out in their stadium, Zayed Stadium, and I remember he threw in the ball in the final, and it was the 2 Middle East men's teams in the final, and actually the B team won. It was unbelievable, so but that was a great achievement for the Middle East board as a whole, and where all of the community here in the Middle East came together to put that on. And then after that, it was held in Ireland. Unfortunately, due to COVID, it's not been on yet, but just to see GAA teams from all over the world, and the level, and then the 2 Middle East teams that end up in the final, and the girls did the same. I think they got to the semis, unfortunately lost out to New York and Australia, I think, at the time. But they definitely were involved at that stage and enjoy having all kinds of sports for their expat community here and for their local community as well.
You hardly want to give him a shout and ask him. Shane Lowry's after sponsoring the Offaly lads. He hardly wants to throw in a few quid into Westmeath, no? You want to give him a shout and just ask him.
There's the oil down there, you might go.
There's no oil in Mullingar anyway, I can tell you that. But if he wants to throw a few quid this way, we could always do it somewhere.
He's into the horses. He might buy a stud in Westmeath somewhere early.
My wife is teaching Michael O'Leary's son at the moment, so Jigginstown I think is well funded at the moment, but I'm sure there's always room for a second stud for plenty of horses around this part. No, just if you see him, just tell him we're stuck for a few quid. Paddy O'Shea left us so much in debt from his helicopter years ago that we still haven't paid it off yet, so we're still
that lends our title as priceless now. I'd say you pay it all over again. I
wouldn't trade it for the world. No, I know E-dubs are just waiting for the All-Ireland finalists, but that was our All-Ireland final. I was only texting David O'Shaughnessy, the captain, about half an hour ago, and I got a graphic sent off a mate of mine. It was really cool of him, and he was like, "Geez, I can't believe I'm still the last person to actually lift something for Westmeath, and it's nearly on 20 years ago." So yeah, there's more success definitely in Jumeirah Gaels, let's say, than there is in Westmeath at the moment. So
I said actually recently, Jason, about the Westmeath, actually just saying, obviously one of their happiest memories seeing Westmeath lift the Leinster title, which he's been pissing money since, still off the death and body.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, the helicopter journeys from Ventry to Mullingar probably set us back a few quid here and there. So, yeah, he flew 2 of my mates from the Scoring and Oak down in Kerry to get them back for throw-in for a Westmeath game, for a challenge game in 2004. So, yeah, that's the kind of level of extremes that we went to for Paddy. But yeah, sure, look, we can't complain. He brought us our best day ever. So. We wouldn't trade it for the world. We would trade it for Northern Ireland, but I don't think that's never going to happen, unfortunately. So, how do you guys keep in touch with the GAA and stuff back home with Wicklow and Wexford and Dublin. I suppose the Dub man is just waiting for the All-Ireland final, really, aren't you?
Well, it's funny all the talk Westmeath. My nana on my father's side is from just outside Horseleaf there. So
that's where my mother's from. My mother's from Horseleaf.
Yeah, Streamstown, tiny little.
That's where my mother's from.
Parish,
yeah.
Really, yeah.
Yeah.
McLaughlin is my nana's maiden name.
What's her first name?
Alien McLaughlin.
I'll say it to my mother. She'll surely know who she was. Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny now. Yeah. How do we keep in touch with the GAA at home? I suppose I'd be talking to friends of mine from the club, and back when I coached the ladies as well, so just in terms of like planning sessions and stuff like that, and just sharing how we're getting on, and sent a few jerseys home to the niece and the nephew and stuff like that. And just when I'm home, I'm coming home this summer, and hopefully I'll be able to play with Plunketts this summer now. In the past, when I've been home, been able to play a few games, so now it's nice to go back.
Yeah, and what about you, Niall?
Say the GAA Go. I've watched that now most weekends when there was a sport on, but just reading the papers as well. We have the subscriptions to the papers at home, Twitter, chatting to people as well from Bray as well, whenever Bray are out, or people involved in Wicklow too. So just always try and keep on top of it. I love all sports. Like every sport I try and keep on top of. Like that's what keeps me happy outside of work and stuff as well. So just mainly through social media and the papers and stuff like that.
Have you any particular sports outside the GAA that you would have played a bit of?
I used to love the athletics. I used to love the bit of running, bit of rugby. That was really it. And then I love just following the golf, the Formula One, everything.
You're like myself, yeah.
Sports as well.
Yeah, I watched two flies run up a wall.
Here now, aren't you?
I played a bit of Aussie rules over here too for 2 seasons. Yeah, we won 2 championships in the Middle East here. There's about 6 or 7 teams. Brilliant, all Aussies.
Wow.
Then there's one of the teams had 2 Irish. There was 2 Irish on the team as well, and myself and another fella from Wicklow. So that was brilliant. All good crack. The lads were. I got forced into it just through a lad in work at that time. Just good to try something different. I wouldn't have done that back at home either. So it's just good to try different sports.
Yeah,
it's good for the fitness and just something. I don't know, something when the GAA wasn't on. That was really it, just to fill a gap of time.
Yeah, it's a growing sport over here as well. Definitely, there's quite a few teams that have appeared recently. It's a cracking sport. TG Carr have taken it up now as well. So we get to see before the grand final, we get to see the women's games, which I'd won the Aussie clubs on this morning. They were talking about how the standard of the women's game is just totally taken over out in Australia as well. That and obviously I had Eilish Constantine on a few weeks back on the pod as well, and she couldn't have talked more highly of it, I suppose, and she was in the grand final. And the Irish representation out there is big as well. I'm sure.
One, didn't they? Orla Dwyer was on the team.
Orla Dwyer won, beat Eilish's team, and then a few weeks before that I had Chrissy McCaig on the pod as well, and he of course had his stint at Sydney as well. So they all speak so highly of it as well. It's great that it's taken off kind of out in the Middle East as well. It'd be deadly to see some like world AFL teams kind of come around and get a bit more kind of recognition maybe than anything else. Yeah. But Naomi, what's the way you keep in touch with home, the GAA?
Well, I guess just going to the pub on a Sunday when the GAA's on with your friends and just catching up. I think for me personally, just over the years, from being from Wexford, obviously Maddie Ford, that was quite inspirational, and then Lee Chin came along, which I thought was great, bringing diversity to GAA and recognising that, and all of his sponsorship, and what an eclectic player he was. He could just put his hand to anything. And sure, I love a bit of trash TV, and Davy Fitz is on there coaching all these healthy families, and Lee Chin is off in Canada playing hockey and stuff like that. But like Niall, I'm a real all-rounder. I love watching sport. I suppose my dad lives in London. We watch rugby together over Zoom, and I like watching a bit of golf. I used to play camogie actually when I was younger, so I love watching camogie as well. But when I moved abroad, camogie wasn't as big as it is now, and I think it's good to say that it is getting bigger out in the Middle East, which is great, and hurling is huge now as well, so at least there's the option. When I first came, it was just really football. So I'm sure we'll always remember 96 when we won the All-Ireland. We've never won it since, but I'll never forget the day. So
it's always handy as well. You have Lee Chin and Matthew O'Hanlon, 2 of probably the GAA's finest looking men, I suppose, on your team, which is no harm either. So
And Matthew's from down around where we're from, so we're all good looking down there, I tell you.
I know that I listen to the two Johnnies all the time, and one of the two Johnnies, he's obsessed with Matthew O'Hanlon. So yeah, he's in fairness to him, he's not a bad looking man. I have to give him that much. So what's the future then for the club going forward after all this COVID disappears? Hopefully,
I suppose there's talk of our season starting again in September. It normally starts off with a Dubai tournament, and our ladies team got promoted up to senior our most recent season. So I was delighted to be part of that setup. I was coaching the girls, so haven't been able to get a crack at senior since COVID's kind of got in the way. So looking forward to that, and it'd be great just to get out and just compete kind of across the board. Our senior men's team will have a few nice imports, a few nice additions. You always lose some people and gain some people, so you never really know what the team is going to look like year on year. But yeah, just it's been mentioned just about the crack in Bahrain and at the tournaments and everything like that. But it's just it's a big part of living out here. Your life just kind of revolves around the GAA. You be coaching or training a couple of times a week, and then have a tournament maybe once a month, every 6 weeks. So the whole COVID thing's been kind of a big change. So
yeah,
maybe get back to what we had in the past and just get the tournaments going again. That would be the hope, or fingers crossed that we'll get back to that. I'd say Naomi and Niall might say something similar.
Yeah, I think in any situation you can plan for A and B, but for us we just want to get back to normal, get back to playing obviously as safely and as responsibly as we can. That's what we've been trying to do training wise and whatnot. And it's really your family away from family. I can remember doing the typical quiz that everyone did over lockdown, but I mean, I spent 4 days preparing for that quiz, and I got dressed up, and then we stood up and we sang and we danced, and it was like the highlight of last year. And you really realize then how important that your GAA club is out here, and we have a lot of people that have just come out, and have been working for companies in Ireland and are looking for jobs out here and supporting them and transitioning across. So I think it's important to probably have an A and a B plan, but definitely stay future focused and get back training in early August when we can. But and it'll be like the Hunger Games again on the Facebook group, trying to get all those players. But we have some stuff. We have a great guy with us. He's a great videographer, great content creator, and he plays for us. So we're so lucky that he's just captured lots of shots of us this year without actually being able to capture us playing. So it's been good.
Is it handy, Niall, actually, just while Naomi and Luke mentioned it as well, the changeover of players? Is it like constantly the team is always refreshing itself? Is it a good thing or a bad thing?
I just think that's the nature of living abroad as well, Jason.
Yeah.
You're gonna lose people, you're gonna gain people. That's just the way it is. But whenever some players leave, other good players come as well. And for me, similar to Naomi and Luke, I just can't wait for there to be a proper season again, get back training in September. And from there, those 6-7 months after, the chat is just very much dominated by the tournaments, by the training, who's playing well. Just people very much looking forward to just getting out and playing football, keeping fit, having something to look forward to outside of work and just having that bit of crack away from it too. That's what it's all about. But come that first tournament, that's going to be over a year and a half since our last official tournament. So it'd be interesting to see what kind of shape different teams are in. You'll always have new players come in who'll add that bit of freshness to it as well, add that bit of sharpness. And even for us, we would have seen that there over the last few weeks when we've had a kick around here and there, just even amongst a small group.
Yeah. I'd say there's a few kind of questions at the end that I'll try to in a couple of minutes, but I suppose on an individual level, Luke, is there, maybe putting you on the spot, is there someone in your club? I ask every club if they got the traditional tough nut lunatic at their club.
I think there might be one on the Zoom call, Jason. I think I don't know about a lunatic. There's a few characters, all right. I suppose there's I wouldn't call him a lunatic, but James is very, very involved in the club. He's coaches the men's, and he just kind of helps out all around. I think he's a kind of a
bit of a father figure around Jumeirah Gaels, so I think he probably deserves a shout out.
He'd want to be old enough now after you called him a father figure. He'd want to be old enough for he'd be.
He has a guy kids anyway, so he won't mind being called that. So we started doing a kick around on a Wednesday evening the last few weeks, ourselves and a few of the other kind of local clubs, and the only pitch we could get was a soccer pitch, so we'd no GA posts. So we were looking around what we could do, and James had like a play jungle gym kind of thing in his back garden for the kids, and he commandeered it and took it apart, and we're using the piping from that cable tied onto the soccer goals for
Nice.
GA post now. So
Innovative. We'll call it innovative. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Is there on the women's side, Naomi? Is there somebody you should look out for when they're coming at you with their shoulder?
Well, the women are great. I have to give a shout out to the Corcoran sisters. They've since moved on, but those kind of girls when you join are like the life and soul of the club. And Rack and her sister, well, Rack was there before her sister came over, but like that started the club of 4 or 5 girls down training, and then were really great footballers, and worked their way up. But my God, they were some women for the sesh. I think they had 75 leaving parties, you know what I mean? This kind of thing. And they should have never left at all. They should have stayed here, went home to a pandemic. But the girls are great crack and great to play with, and all different kinds of ages and cultures. And I never met someone from Longford till I moved here. I didn't even know it was a county. So
Here.
you know what I mean? No. But so shout out to those girls. And of course our chairwoman, I think it's great that there's females in those kind of positions in the Middle East. Alana in Bahrain as well, and Sinead, and she's been fantastic. She's so technical. You ask who corresponds with the Middle East board and that, and it's it takes a lot of time. We're all involved with the committee, but I do the fun stuff like taking minutes and posting on social media. But it takes a lot to run a club, so you have to give a big shout out to her and the support that from James and everyone else in the club as well. And it's just great to see, again, females in those kind of positions where traditionally, I guess, men would be running clubs. So it's been great. Yeah.
You do know Longford are the reigning O'Byrne Cup champions. My cousin kicked a score in the O'Byrne Cup final. So.
I listened to the podcast.
Right.
I've been taking notes and everything all week.
Jesus, mother of God.
Podcast.
I thought
we notes ready.
You're showing us up here, Naomi.
What the hell did you write down on that? I don't even have any notes written down.
You need to ask us the quick fire round. That's what I'm excited for.
Okay, I'll throw in some of the quick fire ones in a second and see how you get on. Is there, Niall, before I go on to the quick fire round before Naomi has a heart attack, is there a song of choice for the club at karaoke?
I don't think so. Probably plenty of songs. Yeah, we all love a bit of karaoke. We do. So we wouldn't just have one song.
Goes on
spread across the board. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'll take that.
John is multi-talented. He has a load of songs.
Yeah, I'm sure there's 1 or 2 songs. I'm sure you couldn't be saying them on this, could you? You'd land into trouble.
Could say whatever. Makes no odds. Absolutely makes no odds. Honestly, some of the stuff I've had on this, like I could have had court cases, I'd say, with some of the Westmeath Camogie girls, like about breaking concrete flower pots over each other's heads in the nightclub here. Like I'd say the songs you name out would be the least of your problems, to be honest. So if I haven't been sued yet, I think I'm all right. Yeah.
I think there would be one. I'd say there'd be plenty. When Sean gets on the guitar, you'd also have a good sing along. And if you're out in the bars and there's a bit of live music, that's always nice. Yeah. I love me a bit of 90s dance though, Jason.
I'm all over that. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Yeah, none of this horse shit that's out today. Yeah, give me the 90s all day long. Yeah, I'm all over it. Yeah. Naomi, I better do the quick fire round. So if you're going to be having a heart attack there in the corner, so
now I'm under pressure though. What if I mess it up?
Well, if you do, sure. Look, you wouldn't be the first Wexford person today to mess it up, so you'd be grand.
Oh,
I had one Wexford man on already.
If I don't know, I'll pass it on to Luke. That's fine.
Okay, that's fine. That's okay. Right. There's a couple of special Middle East quickfire questions at the end as well. To every country gets their own few extra ones for this series. So. First one then, Naomi, are you more Marty or Des?
I have to say Marty, because he comes out here all the time for the games. So yeah, he's always there, and he's a good bit of crack.
Okay. Luke, I'll ask you this one. I'll go alternatively. I'll go around. Luke, who's the toughest team you've ever come up against?
Toughest team out here?
Yeah.
Or,
anywhere that you've played with the club out there?
Can I go when I was coaching? When I talk about when you said tough there, I was coaching the ladies last season against Qatar actually, and it was like a Royal Rumble and a little bit of football thrown in. There was nice. Hair being pulled and elbows being thrown and rugby tackles and the whole lot. Now it was the two clubs were given as good as they got. I wouldn't say one was worse than the other. So that's the one that stands out in my head. Yeah. Junior ladies football in the Middle East, it's a bloodbath.
Sounds like junior football in Ireland, so a bit of a bloodbath as well. Yeah. Niall, if you could get Jumeirah Gaels to take on a county in Ireland, who would you think you'd most fancy your chances against? You're not allowed to say Westmeath.
Oh, he's thinking.
Whoever you get an easy win off, I'd say. Who's the worst team at the minute?
Wexford footballers.
Hey now.
Fermanagh are good.
Fermanagh are nifty. Sean Quigley's decent footballer.
Could we play the Dubs? Would it be a full house in Croker if we got to play the Dubs?
Yeah, if we can organise, I'm sure there's enough Irish around the world or in the Middle East to get 82,400 people in Croke Park. Yeah, I'm sure you get the Dubs in. Yeah, whether they turn up now or not is another question. But Niall is thinking seriously about this one. I love your commitment to it.
Just afraid of giving a bad answer on this, really. That's it.
There's no bad answer.
Probably know someone from that county.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. It makes it more interesting. You're just not allowed to say Westmeath, and Longford doesn't exist according to Naomi, so that's two counties you can't choose. So Luke will probably get you in a headlock if you say Dublin. So
don't catch me. You have to catch me first, though.
Oh, right, okay.
No, that's too fast for me now. Wouldn't be getting there, I'm say.
Yeah, you want to say someone like, I know what you're thinking, like
New York or something, probably, because you go to New York, then go on a big piss up, go missing for a few days.
Yeah, you could probably. I reckon you take Roscommon. I don't think Roscommon are. They're our neighbours as well. No, they're not. They're our neighbours. No one likes them either. So they're just one of these fake counties that no one really cares about that much.
Like Longford.
Like Longford. I can't wait to text my cousin after this and say to him what the abuse getting off of Wexford.
I have no friends from Longford as well. They'll never speak to me again.
Naomi, if you were playing a game, would you prefer short or drive it long?
Drive it long. Drive it down to the left wing.
Down to the left. Okay, I'll take that. Luke, you can choose one of the GAA favourites: hats, flags, scarves, or headbands.
Flags. Go for the flags, I say.
Flags. True dub on Hill 16, taking his flag, of course. Yeah. Niall, I'll ask you this one, but either of you can jump in as well. Have you a favourite Father Ted episode?
That's the mall. I love it.
Yeah, but that's the correct
answer. Your favourite, Luke? Let me think here. I was watching the weekend there for a while recently again.
The milkman, the
speed
4, speed 3, yeah, that's up there.
Yeah,
or is the Christmas special where they get lost in the lingerie section. One of them two, I'd say.
Yeah, perfect. I'll take that one definitely. Yeah. Then I'll ask the three of you kind of one each here, and then I'll do the Middle East questions. Naomi, if you had to pick one player to be the greatest GAA player in your lifetime, who would it be?
Well, my favourite memory is when we won the All-Ireland. I just remember it vividly as a child. So what's the story? Martin Story,
yeah, has to be, yeah.
So it was a great year. And probably why I got into the GAA. And, I just remember fond memories with my grandparents and being in an escortio when they came in with the cup and stuff. So yeah, for sure, Martin Story.
Greatest moustache in the history of sport, I would say. Luke, what about you? Who's the best player ever?
I'd probably go Fenton's up there now after winning 2 Player of the Years. Are you a big fan of Kieran Whelan when I was growing up? He never got his All-Ireland in, but I think that definitely Brian Fenton will take some beating.
Kieran used to work in Mullingar here actually in the bank. He presented me ironically with my Leaving Cert award years ago. To tell you how long ago it was since he was around here. Yeah, it was a funny one. And Niall, who are you picking? Leighton Glynn as the greatest player ever from Wicklow.
I like Leighton Glynn now. Yeah. Look, sort of one the players from that Kerry team. I love Darragh O'Shea growing up for some reason. Just watched him play midfield, just catching the ball. But in terms of one of my favourite players, definitely probably Cormac McAnallen, because my dad's a Monaghan man, and I would have gone to all the Monaghan games from a young age as well. So I've gone through all the heartbreak and then to see them win those 2 Ulster championships. So just to see him happy as well after all those years following them. So he'll be probably one of my favourite players.
Brilliant, yeah. That sounds deadly, yeah. If I go to the Middle East questions, the ones that I've done out. So, Luke, you can choose between a night in the Jumeirah Hotel or backpacking.
Depends where, Luke. Backpacking.
Where am I backpacking?
Wherever you want to, your favourite backpacking destination.
I don't know, backpacking around South America maybe. I'd probably pick that over a night in the Jumeirah Hotel.
Did you go out to South America? You did?
Not having at the moment now, but it's on the cards for the future anyway.
Cracking spots out there, yeah. Some unbelievable place out there. So you'll like it when you get out there. I have the boys from Argentina on actually later on tonight as well. So I'm going back to South America for a Zoom visit to Argentina. Yeah, should be good. So to ask you, Naomi, you can actually. No, I'm going to ask this one to Niall, because you have a choice between the Palm Jumeirah Monorail or the Dart to Bray.
Where am I getting the Dart from to Bray, though?
Connolly.
Connolly.
Yeah.
You get a nice point in town on your way there now.
Actually, the fact that I've been home for so long, I'll probably pick the Dart from Connolly to Bray. You have a little point in Connolly, stop off at Dunleary on the way home, so it's the summer, and then down to Bray, stop off in the harbour. Love that.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I think that's a good a reason as any. Yeah, Naomi, would you take a camel ride out in the desert outside Dubai or a piggyback home after a night out in Coppers?
Oh, hands down, a piggyback home after a night out in Coppers. Those camels, they're nasty animals, I tell you. They're too high up.
I was on them. I know what it's like. Luke, would you choose the shopping in the Dubai Mall or shopping in Blanch?
Blanch all day long. I'd be into Duns and get a breakfast roll and sort me out then. Like
the pennies in Blanch is great. In
fairness, it is, yeah. I used to live down the road from as well when I lived in Clonsilla. So, I'll back you up on that one, yeah. This one actually, some of the lads said to ask you this because we don't have it here, obviously, and you've experienced both. So, Niall, do you prefer the Friday-Saturday weekend or the Saturday-Sunday weekend?
I was actually doing the Friday-Saturday weekend for 6 years. In the last 3 months, I'm doing the Saturday-Sunday.
Right.
And I'd say I prefer the Saturday-Sunday because it keeps you off the beer on a Friday. And the only problem is when you're off the beer on Friday, you end up going stone mad on Saturday.
Okay.
It's hard to stay in. So I prefer the Irish weekend there because it's a bit quieter on Friday. Even going to coffee shops and all around here, and you get stuff done. And then it's nice having Sunday off when everyone else is working and they're starting the week.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. Naomi, I have to ask before I let you go. What else did you have written on the sheet? Your notes.
Okay, after I did all my homework. What else did I write down? You never asked us, did we win on the club lotto?
Oh, well, I assumed I've kind of learned in the first 9 chats that I've done that gambling laws tend to be very, very different outside of Ireland. So I've kind of stopped asking. But have you won anything on your club lottos?
I've not ever won that, and I'm very unlucky. But your man,
we don't have a club lotto there, we?
No, but like in your home,
back home, I suppose. Yeah.
Back home. No, we don't have the lotto here. No, God, no. No lotto allowed. Just back home, though. No, I never won that on the club lotto. Did you guys?
They won. They're €50. They're recently actually over Christmas.
Nice.
There you go. Now there's always one.
That puts you on the list of winners because it's a very small list of winners so far from the start of doing this podcast. Like Dak Maradi is up the top with his $4,500, and then
he won €4,000.
Yeah, he did, and then he split another $7,000, I think, between him and his syndicate as well. So he's had a bit of luck. My favourite though is one of the girls up the north who won the sheep. I think that'll be hard topped.
Sheep.
Yeah, one of sheep. Yeah, I'd like to see any of you top the sheep now, to be honest. So yeah, so 50 quid in the lotto Christmas. Okay, so Niall's on the official ladder of winners now. The rest of the year, you're just down at the bottom. So is there any of you, Luke, do you want to give a shout out to anyone back home before I let you go? Anyone who might be listening?
You know what? I was on the phone to my mother Deirdre today, telling her I was going to be famous and going to be on the podcast. So I'll give her a shout out there. Hopefully she'll listen into this now. She's not taking up podcast yet, so she'll wait. So
okay.
Be stereotypical and say hello to your man there, yeah.
Yeah, okay, sounds good. Niall, what about you? Anyone at home?
Yes, it's my mum and dad. I'd say mum and dad back in break. They sit and wine in the garden probably now, aren't they?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, although bank holiday here. Although if they're out in the garden at the moment, they won't be in their own garden. They'll have been blown down about 20 gardens at this stage. It's pretty horrendous here. It's absolutely horrendous, yeah. There's a weather warning for 11 counties, and I think it was mostly on the the west, but the east has got it pretty bad. Like, I woke up this morning, some of my neighbours' stuff was in our garden, it had come over the fence, so it's pretty bad. Yeah. So I doubt they're out drinking wine. If they are, they're nearly in the ocean at this stage, I'd say. So and Naomi, is there anyone at home you want to say hello to or anything?
Yeah, both my granddads. My granddad Murphy will be listening. He's a diehard GAA man, and my granddad Drought as well. And just shout out to St. James's and St. Mogues, the two clubs in my area. So yeah, thanks for everything, and yeah, stay safe.
And anyone who's listening can, because we've good for GAA jersey collectors and buyers and stuff, they can get your stuff on O'Neill's, I presume, can they?
Yeah, we get a lot of people inquiring actually, because like I said, it's a pretty sweet jersey. So yeah, it's on O'Neill's there, and we'll be looking out to just change it coming into the new season. And we'll definitely send you, what's your number, Jason? What number do you want on the back?
Oh, geez, I can either go my soccer number, which is number 1, and go my GAA number, which was probably somewhere in the mid-20s, warming the bench. So I don't really mind, to be honest. I'll take any number that's probably 23, just for the sake of keeping my old substitute number that I used to have years ago. So I'll just keep 23.
Noted.
One for you, Jason.
Guys, thanks so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. Niall, you look like you want to shout something there. Go on.
When you asked about the county players, a few other players kind of sprung to mind, and one or two lads I missed out on from our own personal club. Maybe Luke and Naomi might be able to add to this as well. But just in terms of like the county players who've been playing out here, Peter Acheson was one, Keith Kelly, Shane Dempsey, Peter Tipperary, Keith Galway, Shane Westmeath, Owen Mahoney, I think played Cork for a while, Conor Clark, with Tyrone, Graham Power, Carlo. That's just off the top of my head from the club. If there was others.
I think Shocks, James Shaughnessy, another Galway man. He was on the Galway panel for a while.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of any other. Harry Oak.
Conan.
Harry Oak,
his club, yeah.
Yeah, I think he won a minor with Tyrone back in. Did they win minor in 2008 as well as the senior that year? I think he was on that panel. And he was in around the Tyrone team. I think Conor Clark was on that minor team as well.
Kev Conlon and Keith Kelly won a minor as well with Galway the year Paul Conroy was captain. I think they beat Derry in the final. That's off the top of my head.
There was one. Was it that year they played the final in Mullingar when Johnny Armstrong was on that team and scored like 3-something in that game? That was a ridiculous game. If it is, I could be thinking the wrong year. Yeah, it might have been.
21.
Yeah, I remember being at that game here in town, and Jesus, that was one of the greatest games I've ever had in my life. So, geez, you've had some of the county players out there, in fairness.
Yeah, I think. Ourselves and sorry to go across here, Noel. I'd say that the senior men's teams and senior ladies teams, I'd say a lot of the boys will have played, and the girls will have played inter-county, if not senior.
Yeah,
they'll have played
for sure.
Minor. Like I'd say, nearly every player on a senior team would.
Wow, that's pretty strong.
It is quite a high standard.
Geez, when I asked you what county you want to take on, you actually it would be like All Stars versus Dublin kind of job. By the sounds, but some names like that, you'd put together a fairly strong 15 to take on at least 15 or 16 the counties in Ireland anyway. Maybe not Westmeath, like we'd be up, fairly higher than that. But you'd be well able to take on some of the counties, and Longford, since Naomi has found out they exist very recently. So
yeah, and they're a good team as well.
Are they? Yeah, they are. Yeah, they claim they are anyway. Yeah, no, definitely biography at the end.
Opportunity.
Yeah, not at all. No, it's great having you on. It was great, old crack, and I can't wait to I have to go out there again at some stage. Just go back and just see, get a bit of sun and wander around and go down to the mall and go skating or whatever it is, skiing in the middle of the mall or whatever it is you have to do down there. So yeah, it sounds great. No, look, lads, I'll let you go because I just realised in the background it's turning dark behind Naomi since we started chatting to you. So I'll talk to you again soon. I'll keep in touch, and look, the best of luck when all kicks back off for you, and I hope it goes great. And Niall, best of luck with the journalism job or the sports media job that you've taken up as well. So hope it goes well for you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a
million.
Thanks
for the good work. It's amazing. Yeah. Thank you so much.
I'll talk to you again, lads. Mind yourselves. Take it easy. Good
luck.
All the way.
Bye. See you Wednesday. Bye.
Bye.
Coming up the next day on the Loaf of Bread GAA Global, we cut into our next slice.
Brilliant.
Yeah, Coochie Tunnel is actually really cool. It was really like the history involved, like to actually see how the Viet Cong actually basically defeated the Americans was just, like incredible. Like the craftsmanship of digging these holes and like making basically spears and these like hidden drops out of basically wood, and it killed so many Americans. I know but it's just astonishing for like America that pumped in billions of taxpayers' money to win this war, and then these guys basically had a pistol between 10 craters, like, and they still managed to win. It's like the equivalent of Loud winning an All-Ireland against Dublin, like.
We say a big thank you to Luke, Naomi and Niall, and make our way to our next destination. Coming up on Monday next on the Loaf of Bread GAA podcast, we travel to our next slice of the world, and on slice 13 of GAA Global, we pop to Southeast Asia for a Vietnam double. Slice 14 will see us visit the girls in the Fina Ho Chi Minh City, but first on slice 13 is the turn of Kerry lady and footballer Charlie and her club Saigon Gaels. We chat everything from life in Saigon, her own podcast Simply Sports Content, rivalries in Vietnam GAA, and the key issues, taking your life into your own hands crossing the road in Saigon, and whether the Vietnam floating markets are better than a farmer's market here. That's next Monday morning from 9 a.m. as we continue the journey with 2 slices a week. I'll see you at the arrivals hall, but until then, check out the various clubs on the Instagram page and see all the amazing work they do and some of the nicest GAA gear going. Find the podcast on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter and on TikTok. Email loafofbreadpod@gmail.com, or just simply hit the follow button and spread the word of the Loaf of Bread GAA pod across the globe. Slánagi.